Welcome to this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Anastacia Anastascio, a spiritual coach, psychic medium, and tarot reader. And now, through her coaching program and intuitive guidance, Anastacia helps others reconnect with their path and purpose. Welcome to the show, Anastacia.
Thank you for having me.
You are welcome. Welcome to the show. Welcome to India in this online form. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people across the globe will benefit from what we are going to talk right now. We'll be talking about the connection between spirituality and mental health. We'll talk about this. But before this, Anastacia, let's understand a bit more about your background, your journey, so that people know who they are listening to and also learn from your journey itself. You're especially, your spiritual awakening in 2020.
Yes, so my spiritual awakening happened during the pandemic when everything was kind of shut down. I did not have any outlet during that time. And during that time, I was a teacher. I taught middle school English online, and I was in a very depressed, very sad state because I couldn't be with my students. My students were always asking me when we were going to get back to school. I also was just very anxious being at home because I had not been by myself and with myself for that many years or that much amount of time alone. And so during that time I found spirituality because I was able to pick up my first deck of tarot cards, and when I picked up my deck of tarot cards, I already knew the cards somehow, even though I had never touched tarot before in my life. So that really catapulted my spiritual journey, and I started to learn a lot of different methods of healing, and that is how I created my spiritual coaching program.
Right, right. So, what does your program entail? Means, if you tell someone that you see there is a problem with, mental problem or some mental issues, and you talk about spirituality, how do people take it? Do they understand it immediately? Do they find it difficult to understand? Do you have a lot of problems helping them understand about these two things?
No, I think everyone understands it because when people come to me, it's typically when they are at their low points or they're not very happy in their lives. So they're probably dealing with some sort of mental health issue. So I think that people come to me when therapy maybe isn't enough, or when they just need someone else to help them with their mental health journey.
Right. So help us understand, how do you get them started, you know, uh, into this spirituality for mental health issues? How does it work? Firstly, I want to understand your process for the audience. Is there a particular type of people? What are the questions that they ask? What is it that you actually do on the ground? Means spirituality is fine. For me, I can only talk, but it's not going to cure. It will, in fact, worsen the problem. So, what is the problem? What is the way you do it so that it actually brings relief to those who are having those issues?
The only method of therapy or psychology that has worked for me is cognitive behavioral psychology. So it is the study of figuring out what stories you're telling yourself in your head. So when I do my spiritual coaching program, the first thing that we do is we look at negative self talk, and we try to figure out what sort of cognitive distortions we have. So, what stories are we telling ourselves that are not true? What are we saying in our minds with our ego that is preventing us from being in the present moment? We have to look at negative self talk and what the ego is saying, and then understand that we are not our ego. Once we do that work, then we're able to really get into the deeper work of Reiki, chakra cleansing, energy healing, like that kind of stuff. And then we go into past life regression therapy. So there is definitely a process, but the first thing we have to do is figure out what is happening inside of your head, because a lot of us don't actually know. We're not really paying attention.
Right, right. And good you talked about past life regressions. So I want to understand, what is this past life regression? Is it going back into the past? And also, how does this contribute to healing and self recovery?
Great question. So, past life regression, I'm talking about past lives. So, reincarnation, your lifetimes before this lifetime. We are carrying our past life trauma in this lifetime, and we have to do past life regression therapy to release it. So, let's say that you're having trouble finding love in this lifetime. Maybe in a past life, your partner, your husband, your wife died, and you promise that you will never love again. You need to go back into past life therapy and then go back into that regression. You need to regress back to your past and then remove that promise so that you don't have any blocks to loving in this lifetime. So that's just one example of how our past lives can affect our current lifetimes, but it's really important for everyone to be doing at least one past life a year, regression a year.
Right. So you go back into your past life. How is it possible? What are the mediums that you employ? Is it that those mediums only with you, or others also have it? Can a person like me get that medium, or does it need any special power? People may have questions. How do you answer those questions for questions around these things? People may find it different difficult to understand. Not everyone has this whole bent of spiritual mind, but they may need your help.
Right. So, past life regression therapy is there's nothing psychic about it. I am, of course, a psychic, so it's a little bit different when I do it. Anyone can do it. It is a light hypnosis. So there is a meditation hypnosis that you will go under for like 20 to 30 minutes to get you into a very deep meditative state. When we're in that very deep meditative state, we're able to access our subconscious, and our subconscious is what holds all of our past life memories. We have all the information inside of us. All we need to do is get to that very hypnotic state so that we can access it. And once we access it, I ask my client questions and then they answer the questions because they know everything.
Right. So it means everyone has the power to go back into
Yes.
their past beyond this life, and they
Yes.
can come to know about what exactly. So shouldn't they do this before even entering into a relationship, so that they
Yes.
know they can cure themselves of the past? And how many every past life, in India we believe that we have got many past lives. Our
Right.
soul goes through that whole journey of many births and rebirths. So
Yes.
which one impacts? How many will impact the other? Or is it a chain reaction that works? Which one should I catch? I may go hundreds of births earlier on, or is it about the last birth? How does that work?
Okay, good question. So, when I do past life regressions, I ask my spirit guides to show me whichever past life is the most important one. So, we're looking at something specific like anger. Why am I so angry in this lifetime? So I asked my spirit guides, can you show me the lifetimes where my anger came from? So they will show you like two lifetimes where your anger came from. We have so many lifetimes, so many past lives, and we need to be intentional to bring forward the one that is the most relevant. So that's why it's important to go in with an intention.
Great, great. This is wonderful. It's like almost like a Google search, that you do a better Google search, and the better results will come in, even in terms of it getting to the actual life that actually matters to you at
Yeah.
this point in time. So does that mean that at one point, if it's anger issue, it will be a different result? If it's a relationship issue, it might be a different sort of a thing. But if somebody has several issues at the same time, which result will it throw when we are looking at the ideal situation to be in terms of our past life?
We have to choose the biggest problem. So we have to go in intentionally. So we can't just say, oh, I want to look at all of my problems, you know? But I will say sometimes my clients have multiple problems. So all we do is say, I want to see the lifetime that is the most relevant for me to look at right now. And we'll see which problem comes up. We let our spirit guides kind of guide at that point because they're the ones who are really showing us the true stories.
Okay, okay. Now, if you can share with us an example how this has worked in terms of, uh, spirituality, in terms of past life regression, and a client has actually benefited from this, so that, people, the audience can understand these things better from the ground level.
Yes. So the example I gave earlier, where one of my clients was struggling to find love and promised her ex boyfriend or ex husband in another lifetime that she would never love again, was actually a real example. But I'll give another example. I have a client who really struggles with connecting with men. And she found that in her past life, she was a man who did not treat women very well. So, in her DNA of her past life DNA, she had this story that men were unsafe. So, when we went into her past lives and we saw the way she was treating the women, we had to do chakra energy cleansing to really remove anything from that lifetime from her current life so that she's able to have better experiences with men.
Right, right, Anastasia. Now you talk about tarot readings, past life regressions, Reiki, other spiritual modalities into your holistic approach to healing and transformation. How do you put them all together? How do you know which one is the best for a particular situation? Or are you able to employ all these at the same time?
Yes. So I created my spiritual coaching program in a way where my clients can get one of each modality. So in our first week, like I said, we're looking at negative self-talk and then the ego. And then our second week, we look at learning how to meditate properly, learning how to build spiritual routines. And then in our third week, we do Reiki. And our fourth week, we do meeting your spirit guides, past life regression therapy. So every session is a different modality. And I did that so that my clients can learn which modality works for them best. When we do past life regression therapy, we can also do Reiki because we are using energy to clear those past lives. When we do Reiki, we can do tarot to kind of see what is stored in each chakra. So some of them can be combined, but typically I do them one session at a time.
One session at a time. Now, this is something, people have to look at with a great deal of beliefs into such a thing. What expectation should people have from such a healing mechanism? Should they expect more? Should they expect no less? How does it work for them? What is the mindset with which they should come to you?
Expect nothing. Expect nothing. That's my best advice. When people go in with high expectations, I can tell. And I always tell them stop thinking about how you think this is supposed to go. It's not about how it's supposed to go. In fact, you might have an expectation how it's supposed to go, and it might even exceed that expectation or be completely different from what we thought we were going to do. In fact, sometimes I even say, okay, I tell my clients the next session we're going to do Reiki energy cleansing. And then we get to the session, and then their spirit guides are like, that's not what they need right now. They need a tarot reading or something like that. So I say you cannot have any expectations. Healing, you never know what you're going to need in the moment. That's why we're supposed to not plan for big things. We're supposed to be in the present.
Right. One more question, Anastasia, is to understand. Suppose you help others. How do you help yourself if you need to go look into your past life? Is it possible, or you have to go to another person like you?
It is possible to access the Akashic records by yourself, but there is an element of not trusting the information that comes through if you're just doing it by yourself, because I am still human. So if I'm doing a past life regression, I would prefer to do it with another person.
Right. There is much to learn from you about these things, Anastacia, and I'm sure a lot of people would like to learn more from you, about your uh, coaching program. So, what is the best way for them to connect with you?
Yes, I am the spiritual goth on all platforms, and I'm at thespiritualgoth.com.
Wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you.